Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming to the stream. I thought it might be a good time for me to go live again. I haven't played any games in a while, haven't done any kind of streams in a while. And one of the things I'd been wanting to do for some time is to do a video on all of the sound programs that are out there. Actually, I'm trying a dark reader. That doesn't look so good, so I'm going to turn off the dark reader. Is that better? I don't know. It's bright, but maybe that works better. So anyway, what I wanted to do is do a video, and I'm just going to literally walk through a ton of the programs I use, and hope I can help some of you and post this on YouTube, and hopefully some folks there can get some value out of it. So I'm not going to go in order specifically. I'm going to start with Voicemeeter, Banana, Potato, and probably OBS, and then if there's people that jump into chat and people have an idea of what they want to see before you go to sleep, I'm happy to accommodate. So anyway, thanks again. And with that, I'm going to just jump in to some of the programs. So let's start with Voicemeeter. So you all know Voicemeeter, I'm sure, at least most of you do. I'm going to open up the webpage. So Voicemeeter comes in essentially 3 flavors now. It comes in the standard Voicemeeter. And this really comes with basically 2 hardware inputs and 1 virtual input. So really what people use this software for anybody that's not familiar with it, it's used as an audio kind of routing program. So it's basically like a soundboard for those that don't have a physical soundboard or a system of routing audio. So people have used this, thousands of people use Voicemeeter, and it's a really slick tool. So Voicemeeter, most people actually are probably now that use it at all, use the Banana version at least. So you can see by looking at the screen, this one has 3 hardware inputs and 2 virtual inputs. And really all that means is you have many more ways to separate your audio. So hey, Rob, awesome. Thanks for jumping into the stream, Rob. So Banana, again, has 3 different inputs on the hardware side, 2 virtual, and then Potato, which is what I'm using today, and we'll be showing that off throughout the evening. But Potato has 5 hardware inputs, and it has 3 virtual inputs. So basically what it really lets you do is take a lot of control of your sound. And if you want a specific program, say Syrinscape or your desktop audio, if you want it at a certain sound level, maybe you want it to go to players that you're playing a game with, but you don't want it to go to, say, the stream, you can do all that with these Voicemeeter products. So very, very, very helpful. What I thought I'd show, since some people probably don't know this, so I'm going to explain a little bit about the Voicemeeter cables. Cool, Rob. You're going to watch the whole thong later? The whole thing? Thong? Love it. So you get a number of things with Voicemeeter for free if you download it. So I'm on the first virtual audio cable download page. So if you see here, there's a download link to this VB cable driver. So once you download Voicemeeter itself, you also need to separately download the cables. And not everybody remembers that. A lot of people forget that they download Voicemeeter, Banana, and I might get a note in my Discord, hey, this isn't working. I don't see the cables. Usually that's because people forgot to download them. So here for free, you can click on download and it'll download 1 cable driver. It does say donationware. This one you don't necessarily have to donate to. I've donated a ton to Vincent because these are awesome programs. You'll also see a couple of other links here, VB cable A plus B. So if you click on that link, you do get the ability to get 2 more cables, A and B. And if you click on, there's a euro and a US, so I'm going to click on the US dollar. Yeah, Stooner, you don't need them for everything. It's really, Voicemeeter is more if you want to be able to send your sound to just different places. So, I mean, you can get by typically. I'm going to lower my mic a little bit. It seems like it's peaking a little bit. It seems like if you don't, the short answer is no, you don't need it for everything, but it's really helpful when you want to separate your audio into different volumes and do that on the fly as to what you're muting, what you're unmuting. So it's not required, but I find it very helpful for streaming. So over here, you can see it has a recommended donation, but you can go as low as, I think it's like $4.19 with, or maybe it's $5 with tax. And you add to cart, check out, and you get your cables. But one trick that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, it's not a trick, but if you go back, I think it's, sorry, I'm scrolling all over. If you go back to the middle of this audio cable page, there's a hi-fi cable here. And if you click on that, it explains that this is a better cable. It's an ASIO bridge, which is a type of audio driver. So it looks like really fancy, and maybe you don't need this. Well, if you download this cable, and if you install it just like every other cable, again, it says donationware. This one you don't necessarily have to donate to, but if you download it, it'll pop up in your Windows sound settings as another cable, another free cable. So basically, if you think about it, you get, just like it shows up here, you get one cable free. You can do A and B through donation, C and D through donation. So that gives you 5. And then with the hi-fi cable, that's your 6th. So just something to keep in mind if you want another cable and you just can't get enough cables. So, all right. So with that, let me get out of this, and I'm going to pop into Voicemeeter now. Let me clean up my desktop. Okay. So just a couple things that I'll point out. One thing to note with Voicemeeter is if you have a Windows update, and yes, I know we all hate Windows updates, but if you have a Windows update, always check your sound settings again. Check everything. And further, I always take screenshots and save my settings. So before I kind of get into explaining a few things, if you go to Menu, Save Settings, you can save it wherever you want to on your hard drive, but you can save it, call it whatever you want, and then once you do save it, you can always come back and load your settings. So save your settings. Once you get your setup how you want it, please don't forget to save your settings. One other thing, if you go to your sound bar, if you right click, and if you left click on sounds, when Windows decides to update, many times it changes the name of your audio inputs with jacks, everything. So what I mean by that is, you see how this up here says cable A input, and then underneath it says VB audio cable A. It's really important to know that this kind of grayish line that says VB audio cable A, that will not ever change, at least that I've seen. So all of these that are a little bit grayer down here, and even your VB audio aux, all of these different inputs, none of the gray will change. However, these names at the top, and I'm going to open this, so where you can change the name here and call it whatever you want, like I could literally call it Cable X, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it. But if you change this, Windows updates can jack that. So just something to keep in mind. Always look at that. Another thing, if you're not getting sound, but you did get sound before it was working, always check your outputs and input connections. So you see where I'm hovering over my Discord cable A output. A lot of times when I've had problems, I'm like, why is this not working? I'll click this and I'll notice that this is unchecked. So either I clicked remove device connections, or more likely Windows Update changed it. So sometimes, again, if you're not getting sound and you know you got it before, make sure that you check, even if it says Voicemeeter, even if this looks right to you. Now this one, does it look right to me? Yeah, it does. So always make sure these all have these check marks. All right. What else? Sample rates. This gets a little technical, but it's something that I like to point out. If you go to your menu in Voicemeeter and system settings options, this is a cool panel, and the main thing to look at here is to look at what's your main sample rate output, and you can change this. So this is the main output. I think this used to go up to only 96,000 hertz, but now they've updated Voicemeeter so that you can actually set it to 192,000 hertz. Unless you're like a super audiophile and you have an incredible computer, I don't know why you'd ever do that. I actually keep everything at 44.1. I used to do 48,000, and I don't know why, but it just seemed like things were more stable for me if I keep it at 44.1,000. So you keep this at 44.1,000, and then it's important to note you really should keep all of your inputs and outputs at 44.1,000 hertz. So you should always keep these consistent. The other important, and I'll show you how to do that, because sometimes you might see one of these that's at a different frequency, different sample rate. So SR stands for sample rate. These over here are your buffer defaults. So if you look at, just for a second, I don't know if it's going to let me. Yeah, it does. So you'll see how when you drop down each of your outputs within Discord or within Voicemeeter, you typically have WDM, which is Windows Device Manager, I believe. That's the driver I always use, and I try to be consistent and use that for every single one of my hardware inputs. You also usually have KS, which I think is kernel software, something to that effect, and then MME. MME people tend to use, if WDM is not working, they'll try MME, but I've always used WDM. And it also has the benefit of having lower latency than MME. So it has a lower buffer, and the lower buffer, the better if you can handle it, if your system can handle it. So I usually keep it at the default 512. But the other thing you can do, if you notice one of these is not at 44,100, you look at your physical input cables. So this is cable A through D. If you right click on your speaker, go to sounds, and either playback or recording, whether you want to look at your inputs or outputs. So let me look at cable A. I'm going to right click on it. And if I go to advanced tab, this is where you can change it. Okay, so the main thing is make sure, do what you can to keep them all at the same frequency, the same hertz. The bit rate, at least as I've seen it, doesn't matter tremendously, I don't think. It makes some difference, but I try to really make sure that it's at 44,100. So again, if you're getting like cracking, popping, hissing, the first thing I would ask you to do is open up your menu, go here, and make sure that all your sample rates are the same. Sorry if I'm sniffing a little bit. I feel like I'm getting an allergy attack or a cold, so I'll try not to sniff into the microphone. So make sure all those sample rates are the same. There is another trick for your sample rates here. So you probably don't want to mess with these. I don't, but you can tell that these are all set for 44,100, but the latency is 7,168. That's the buffer. I say latency. That's the buffer. So that's 7,168 milliseconds. When you download Voicemeeter, you go to your start menu. And I'm going to look for VB audio. And you'll notice all these control panels. So if I thought I wanted to change my auxiliary, or this is actually your VAIO, it doesn't say anything, it just says IO, but your aux, VAIO, and IO. But if I click on this, I get a pop-up, say yes, and you get these cool dashboards. And what this shows you is what's the internal hertz and what's the latency. So if you click on options, you can change this to anything you want. I don't recommend it because it can jack with things, so I would leave it as is, unless you just really like to experiment like I do. And you can also go and change latency. The reason that you see these 3 times is 3 times the buffer rate is typically what they tell you to make sure that your latency is set to at least 3 times your buffer. So if my buffer is at 512, multiply that times 3, so it's about 1,530 is what you should have your sample or your latency set to at a minimum. One thing I want to show you that it's not showing here. Hang on one second. I had to sniff, and I did not want to do that into the microphone. Okay. So I'm going to show you, let's see, if I do cable A, I think. Sorry, I didn't rehearse all of this today. Just thought I'd jump on and talk. Let me look at cable. I wonder if I can do cable C or D. Let's try D. What I want to show you is see if it's, yeah, here you go. So if you're getting cracking or popping and you open these virtual audio cables, you can see in the input and output, you see how the output here, nothing is going over 256. So what that means is if your latency is set to at least 512, you're probably going to be in good shape because nothing is going over that buffer. So as long as you have your buffer set to 512, you're good. If you have it set to 256 and you're hearing cracking and popping and you open this panel and you see this, you might say to yourself, okay, that's why. Because there are some overages that are happening there that are going to cause the audio to come in and out. So that's something that you can keep in mind. The other thing you can do if you don't see those programs, or I should say those in your start menu, if you open up your PC, go to Program Files, and for me, it's in this VB folder. All of your cables are here. So if you click on cable A and you said, gosh, I couldn't find the control panel, just double click on it here or right click in it, and you can set it as a pin to your start menu, and you can actually just create a shortcut. It won't let you, but then you can say, yes, place it on my desktop, and then you can always open these anytime. Sorry, dang it. What a time to have an allergy tech. Okay, hopefully that helps and makes sense. Let's see, what else do I have? Limiters. Oh, one thing that's interesting with Potato, you don't get this with anything else, but some of you who probably use Syrinscape notice that the one-shots can be really, really loud. So every once in a while, what is nice to do is to be able to limit that, and you can do it in a number of different places. You can limit it in OBS, you can limit it in other outside programs, but Potato gives you a really cool ability right in this strip to limit the output. So if I left click and hold in this volume section here, I can pull this down and basically say, okay, I'm going to set the limit there, which means even if Syrinscape plays something really loud, it's never going to come above this limit. That's a pretty cool feature, really easy. You can do this in any of these. Pull these limiters down, however low you want it to be, or if you want to make sure that Syrinscape is just always low and in the background, you can pull it down to, say, minus 25, minus 20. And it'll play sound, but it'll never go above that. So that's a pretty cool feature that's only available in Potato, to my knowledge. The other, one more cool thing in Potato, and then I think I'll get off of Voicemeeter. But one thing that is pretty cool is you guys probably know these are all volume strips, and you can right click and you can actually, in this case, you just click up here to name it. But you can send these wherever you want. You can change the volume, but if you change the volume here, any output you're sending this strip to, the volume will change for all of these outputs. What's cool in this master section, and if you can see over here, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, these are all of the outputs. If I select this, so A1 is my headset. You can see up here, my outputs, A1 is the main, A2, and you can also see up here, I'm at 44.1 kilohertz and 512 buffer, which is where I want to be. But what's cool about this, if I select this, and this is highlighted, if I change the volume of these wherever I want, it'll only change it for this output, only for my speakers. If I want to leave everything else the same, it'll stay the same. The minute I uncheck this, all of these are going to reset. So now the rest of the outputs, unless I've already selected them and changed them, they're all going to stay the same. So that's a pretty cool feature that allows you to kind of individually select volume. All right, I had a few notes. I know I don't have too many people in the stream yet. Any other specific Voicemeeter questions before I move on to talking about OBS? I mean, I can talk more about Voicemeeter, but I feel like there's been so many videos on just using the basics. I wanted to cover more some of those nuanced points. While you guys are thinking, let me see if there's anything else in the settings I want to mention. There is a, and I use this sometimes, but you'll notice I have some of these patch inserts selected. This is like a little more complex patch system that uses a virtual ASIO driver, which is a really good driver. And some of the sound programs like Ableton and others, you can use it to, sound programs like Ableton Live, which is a digital audio workstation. You can use it and you can patch it directly in, and it's a more direct connection, I guess is the best way to describe it. So that's what this is down here. Other for me, I always hit auto restart audio engine. So if something happens or something changes, it just restarts itself. And yeah, I think that's it. All right. I don't see anything else. All right, one sec. All right, that's it for Voicemeeter for now. So what I'm going to do as we get through these, I'm just going to kind of strike through so I know that we've kind of handled each of these. So we're through that. OBS. Let me go to OBS for a second. So OBS Studio, as most of you know, it's what I'm using to stream. It's a free streaming software. Not everyone streams, which is just fine and dandy. But if you do, there's a lot more stream software that is now coming out that's probably competing with Studio. But I still like OBS Studio. It's really cool. It takes a little bit of time to get used to. You can do a lot of forum searches and find a lot of tips and tricks, but it's really good software. So I'm going to, for a second, you're going to see my screen go black because what I want to do is bring over OBS and show you a few things, but I don't want it to show that infinity screen. Here we go. So 1 second. Actually, that's not going to work, is it? Only way I can do this. Yeah, it's to show you the infinity screen. Darn it. Well, will it allow me? Yeah. Sorry about the middle screen. I don't know if there's a better way, but what I want to show you is a few tips and tricks with OBS. So one, if you click up at the very top here, view, edit file, tools. It's grayed out right now, but there's a little grayed out section that says auto configuration wizard. So if you just launch OBS and you're trying to figure out what the best settings are, then go up there and just use the auto configuration wizard, and it should set your settings at a good level, something that'll help make sure that your stream is stable. I'm going to open up settings for me. So a couple things in here I'm not going to go through again. We're focused on sound on this. If you go to your output section, I keep my audio bitrate at 160. I mean, you can definitely go up a lot higher, but just from the way that, how much memory it uses and the taxing on your system, 160 feels like it's a good section for me, or a good level for me. Audio. Now, one thing you'll notice, and Rob's probably going to look at this and freak out. What's going on, man? All of these are disabled. The most basic way to use OBS, and what most people do, and I would still recommend it, is to go ahead and use these drop downs here to set up whatever input or whatever output you want OBS to pick up. So like if you wanted your microphone to be picked up, you'll do it right in here, and you'll select microphone, like my Yeti mic. You would do it right here. Most people keep these two disabled, and then whatever else they want the stream to hear, like maybe they'll send everything to Voicemeeter output VIO. So that's typically the B1 cable in Voicemeeter, and typically people will send all of their streams from within Voicemeeter out to this stream, so the stream hears that. I don't do that anymore. I've kind of changed a few things. And I'll show you one other thing up here, sample rate. This only has an OBS 44.1 hertz and 48 kilohertz. So like me, if you set your Voicemeeter, all of those inputs and outputs to 44.1, I would encourage you to make sure to keep it the same here. Okay, just if you put it to 48,000, then put that one to 48,000. All right, let's see, did that. So what did I do? You know, if you look at all these devices down here, you can see my scenes. I'm on the, I call it Fantasy Grounds because normally I'm streaming Fantasy Grounds. But what I did is I right-clicked over here and added an audio input capture. I'm not going to do it here. But that way, every time I open this scene, my audio is all connected and it's already set up. So what this does is I've set up settings in each one of these, and each one of these corresponds to my Voicemeeter settings. So this is Gwyd's mic, and this is going straight into Discord, or sorry, into OBS. And then these are my desktop, Ableton Live, which I'll show you. And I've set this up such that each one of these, let's just go to Syrinscape. I'm going to left click and go to filters. I've set up filters for each one of these. And again, this is a sound program, so this is a little more complicated. But what I've done is I've set a threshold limiter, I've set a side chain, a compressor, and a gain. The main thing I would tell you is that all I'm doing is I'm trying to, within OBS, just limit a little bit the volume of the other sounds that come in. So this gain just automatically drops Syrinscape down by about 15 decibels of what it would normally output. That's all this does. The compressor is a little more complicated, but you know, it kind of tries to get rid of the highs and lows and kind of compress your sound. I'm not explaining that very well, but I wasn't planning on getting too much into that. Your side chain, what this does, it's kind of the same as a compressor. I just renamed it. But what this does is it's tied into my mic. So I've set this up, and you guys can do more research. I'm more trying to explain to you what's possible. But whenever I'm talking, if I'm playing Syrinscape's going to lower a little bit. So it'll be at a certain level. If I'm not talking and things are, you know, we're just playing a game and nobody's talking, it's going to be at a certain level. But the minute I start talking, it's going to lower just ever so slightly, which is cool. And then limiter just means that, hey, for that, just like I mentioned to you previously, there's an ability to limit within Voicemeeter. What this does is literally says that, hey, no matter what, Syrinscape will never play above minus 10 decibels. So if there's a huge one shot that should sound at 0 or plus 5 decibels, this will limit it to where it'll still play, but it'll never get above minus 10. So each one of these has its own. My mic does not have, well, it doesn't have noise suppression. I had that. I have my mic set at 0. I have a noise gate. I probably don't need to put that on, but this kind of helps some of the ambient background noise, so that literally my mic will cut off if it's hearing nothing, and it'll open once it hears a little bit of sound, basically. But again, if you have an interest, you can kind of go back and set this up in this way. I can mute any one of these. I can do what I want. I can kind of lower the volume, but it allows me very much flexibility within OBS. So, all right, I'm going to move that back over. That's OBS. Again, just from a sound standpoint, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I think that's all I would say about OBS. Good software. There's OBS slobs now, Streamlabs OBS. There's, I feel like I'm missing a couple, but there's a lot of great programs out there now. All right, there's OBS. Syrinscape. All right. Most everybody knows now that before you launch Syrinscape, you have to switch your audio input, which means Syrinscape will start playing from whatever your default output is. So let me go through that briefly. So if I open my sounds, I've got my default playback and recording. My default playback, which is what most people have that have Voicemeeter, they set it to Voicemeeter input, Voicemeeter VAIO. Recording, some people do this differently. Some people do just Voicemeeter VAIO. Some people might have a cable input and put their mic directly through a cable. I just have my Blue Yeti mic as my default output. So if I don't do anything else before I launch Syrinscape, then it's going to play through Voicemeeter VAIO. So if you open this, it will not play through this column. It's going to play through this column. This is the automatic. If I don't change anything, if I don't tell a program, hey, play through a different cable in Voicemeeter, then it's just going to play through my desktop sounds. So there's a couple ways to handle it. Either you can just go in, right click, open this, go into playback. You can change this and say, hey, I want it to go through cable B. I'm going to set that as default. I won't do it right now. But you could basically set it as default, launch Syrinscape, and then come back, switch it back. That's a pain in the butt to me. So there's two ways I'm going to show you how to do this. The first way is a program called SoundSwitch. It's a simple way to switch your playback devices on the fly. So let me open this and show you. So here's the program. It's a really simple download. I don't know what this is. This looks like an ad, but up here, I would download. I think I donated to this guy, but again, it's free. But literally just this one blue link up here. Click download, install it. It's, as you would normally expect, easy download. Then right now, I don't have it open, but I have it hotkeyed down here. And I could also type it in my search bar, but I'm just going to open it here. Okay, so it did open, even though you can't tell. If I go over here, there you go. So let me open it for you. So you can see how I've only set up a couple. You can set up a bunch. But what I want to do is right click on it and show you settings, what you can do. Okay. So this is the little panel. And if you want, you can connect any of these. Okay. You can connect any program any sound playback or recording that you want. I'm only doing this for the purpose of Syrinscape. So I only have it switching between these two. So what I did is I have a hotkey, and my combination is Control S. You can make it wherever you want, but I have it Control S. So what that does, because I just have these two connected, if I do Control S, now I'm going to uncheck that. So if I hit Control S, look up here on my screen, it's going to switch to cable B input. Okay, so now I can launch Syrinscape. And then as soon as Syrinscape launches, I can Control S again, and now it's back to Voicemeeter input, back like it was. Really cool program, really slick. Okay, I don't need that anymore. I just wanted to show that to you. Oh, maybe it did. There we go. I'm going to shut it down if it'll let me. Yeah, so really cool. But the reason I didn't actually open Syrinscape that way is I want to open it and show you another way that's pretty cool. So I'm going to open Syrinscape. So as you probably know, I did not change my input device. So this is going to launch just play through my Voicemeeter VAIO, my default playback. So let's see. There's a go to Bugbear Battle. That's my big one. I always wait. I probably don't need to, but I always like once these all turn blue, I know that I'm all loaded. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. There we go. Almost there. Okay. Once they already turn a little bit darker, you know this is working. So again, I'm going to play like a force missile real quick. You can see that just came through my desktop, and you should have heard it too, but it came right through here. Okay. It did not come through Syrinscape output over here, which is cable B. Cable B. All right. So how do I change that? So now that I've launched it, I could close it and reopen it and say, crap, I didn't do what I wanted it to do. Or you can do one other program. I showed you SoundSwitch. You can open a program called Audio Router. A Audio Router is available on GitHub. If you scroll down to where it says Audio Router in bold, you can look at the 64-bit version, which is what I have, or the 32-bit. Click on that link, download it, launch it, all the normal things you would expect for a download. But then I have it on my taskbar. So if you open this, now I might lose you on Voicemeeter for a second. So let me make sure you can still hear me. Yeah, it looks like you can. Okay. Sometimes you have to restart, even though I have it as auto restart. You might have to restart Audio Engine for this. But it gives you this view. I like to change it and switch the view. And this isn't a pretty view. But if you look at this now, and I'm going to show you this when we get into Resonance, but if you click on Syrinscape down here, double click on it, if you change it to cable B input down here, and click OK, it'll show up here once it's working. Do not X out of it, just hide it. But if you see it down here, you can minimize it, keep it in your taskbar, and now I'm going to open up Voicemeeter. Now I'm going to play that same force missile. Now you can see it's coming through the right cable. Okay. So again, is that more effort than you need? Maybe. But I think it's a neat program. I keep it up sometimes and then just quickly switch programs if I need it. So that's that. I'm going to keep this hidden. And I'm going to show you a few other things on Syrinscape. Some you probably know, and some maybe you don't. So again, you guys know most of the basics, I assume. But if you click on all sound sets, one of the things that is neat is if you set up campaigns in Syrinscape on the website, which I'll show you how to do. And if you click on those campaigns, like for me, let's go to Teeth of the Storm. So Teeth of the Storm was a one-shot I ran, Pathfinder 2e, and I only pulled in certain sound sets from Syrinscape. So what's cool is I hear a lot of complaints about, hey, you got to search on the fly, you've got to go through all these programs. The nice thing is, if you set up your campaigns on the Syrinscape website, it'll only show those that you want for this particular setting or session. So that's pretty neat. You can also just click on, hey, I only purchased a couple. Let's look on what we've purchased. So for me, since I'm a Super Siren member, I have everything. So some of these are grayed out, though, because I haven't loaded them yet. But that's one more filter you can do. You can go up here and say, hey, just give me what I installed. I don't want to see everything. Just give me what I installed. So that's cool. So you can say nothing's grayed out. So I have these all installed. So that's pretty neat. Sliders. So this volume slider here controls all your moods and your elements. This slider here, which is probably as of only the last couple of updates, I think, for Syrinscape, this controls the one-shot volume. So sometimes people will reduce this lower. I'm handling that through the limiters, as you saw in my OBS. Okay, so I don't need to really limit it anymore. In fact, I should probably turn it up a little bit, but that's that. All right, I'm going to show you now on the Syrinscape website, because it's a little confusing. As you can see, I'm Super Siren, there's Gwydion. Your campaigns, if you click on your campaigns, and I'm on all, I always forget, I think there's a little quirk here. You might want to go to fantasy. In fact, let's just do that for now. So it takes a minute to load, I believe. There we go. So here's my Teeth of the Storm. So if I right click on it, and I can enter a description and say TF2 one shot, so I remember. But what you can do is if I said, hey, you know what? I didn't mean to, this one down here, I didn't want this end of all things. I just click on it to remove it. But maybe I decide, you know what? I want Witchwood. I don't have that in here. I want it to show up in the sound set. Just drag it over wherever you want. Now it's there. Now, sometimes it takes a bit to populate. So if you immediately go to your Syrinscape player and you're like, I don't see it there, I have noticed some quirks where it might take an hour or more. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I didn't reload it. I don't know. But I've seen that be a little bit strange. So, but this is a really cool feature because now you can just use your campaigns and have them show up directly in your player. One other thing on Fantasy Grounds, or sorry, on Syrinscape. So you can see I'm at the most recent. You can look on their website to see if yours is the most recent. I have a bunch of updates available, which I probably need to just update these sound sets, but I'm not going to do that now. Third-party app integration. When you enable that, so this is where you can click on these links and you can drop those into Fantasy Grounds, into DOE sound settings, and you can actually copy and paste these and play these from almost anywhere. So that's what these links are, these little plus signs, and you can see it's copied to the clipboard. So if I want to hit escape, cancel out of that. One other thing that's kind of cool is if you don't like the interface, if it's too big, too small, you can kind of reduce the size. And you see how it's kind of reducing. And then for those of us that need a little bit more, you can do it up even bigger if you want. I'm going to put it down to 100%, but that's cool. If I reloaded, I'm not sure if it would update my sound set, but so that's Syrinscape. Pretty cool. Really cool program. I love it. It does have a paid feature. It's $10.99 a month all in. I recommend it. And there's also a super siren, or I'm sorry, there's an online, because of the integration within Fantasy Grounds, and I won't belabor that point since some of you may not be watching this stream for Fantasy Grounds, but hang on for 1 second. Sorry, guys. Just give me 1 second. Right back. Okay. Gotta do one thing. Jeez, what a waste. If any of you have daughters, then you realize you have to answer to them. Make sure there's nothing urgent. So, okay. All right. So, what else did I want to say about Syrinscape now that I've lost my train of thought? I think that's probably it. Yeah, just the fees. So, and yeah, I don't use the online version because of the integration with Fantasy Grounds that I like to use. And I just find it, because I use Voicemeeter and everything else, I don't need it. So that's that. Sorry for the quick delay there. Volume switch inputs, we got all that done. Okay, Resonance. Resonance is another soundboard. And in fact, I'm going to close Syrinscape. And I'm going to close, I don't think I need, well, actually, no, I will keep that. I'm going to close Audio Router. I may need to restart Syrinscape, or there we go. Okay, hopefully that should work. Okay, Resonance. I played around with this a little bit. I never really used it a ton, but it's a pretty cool program too. Okay, so it's a free download. It's a soundboard. Very simple. It was mainly intended to go through your microphone and play within Discord. That's the whole point and purpose. And if you go to the website and if you do everything as they tell you to do it, it tells you to install the virtual audio cable, not Voicemeeter as a whole, but only the virtual audio cable. And if you do that, then it'll set it up. And if you go through and if you look at their FAQs and the way they tell you to set it up, it'll all go directly through your microphone. Cool, but not what I would want. So basically, you don't have really much of any control. It would just go directly through your microphone. However, I'm going to show you what I think, I'm sure others have figured out, but I'm going to show you a trick. So I've got Resonance, got it installed. Okay, so I've already loaded a sound, but let me just pop out the soundboard. This little button here with a hand will pop out the soundboard. So you can see all of these are like a quick little soundboard. Okay, now you'll see down here all of the inputs and outputs. So this is going to your default device. Okay, which should be Voicemeeter. or Voicemeeter VIO. But if I enable this, and if you right click, I can add any sound I want. So I have a ton of audio sounds. These are all my tabletop audio I've downloaded. I can add any of these. Maybe I'll add, what do I want to add? The Slaughter Docs. New button name. Tavern. Okay, so now I have hell in a tavern. What else do you need? So if I click on hell, and then if I open Voicemeeter, you can see that it's going directly through here. The other trick, if I wanted to put it through, say, my cable D, so you see how it's going through my standard VIO? If I open Audio Router, and again, if I switch my view, double click on Resonance and go to cable D, it might stop for a second. Okay, so you should be able to still hear me, but see how it's now routed there? And I think it already restarted, but I'll restart the audio engine. And now it's going through cable D. So it still shows here, which is interesting. I think that's just a remnant, but it's going through cable D. So this is a pretty cool free program that if you just set it up and just don't do kind of how it tells you, but just install it, and you can come in, you can set a bunch of programs. Like instead, if we want to hear Tavern, click on Tavern, and then that's my tabletop audio tavern. Pretty neat. You can also set hotkeys, stop playback. You can set a hotkey to stop playback, or you can just click stop playback. So I think that's pretty cool. Get rid of that. So that's a free program. Free is good. Let me go back to Audio Router, click out of that, and it probably already restarted because I have that auto. Pretty cool. I mean, I don't know that I'd use it, but I'm trying to give everybody as many tools as I can, and if it helps somebody, great. All right, so we're through Resonance. Discord. Probably not a ton to say about Discord, but let's open Discord. Uh-oh. I hope Diablo Bob, I hope he got it back. It looks like he's saying that it's stream dropped. Sure hope it isn't. Hope it's still working now, but I'm going to type him. Hope it is back. All right. So I go to voice and video. So you can see, again, I put my microphone directly in Discord. I've tried Voicemeeter into Discord, and it works, but I've just found more success when it's directly into Discord. Oh, good, Stooner. I think it's been a little bit off and on. I think my Wi-Fi, I've always streamed on Wi-Fi, which I know is not smart, but it looks like my Wi-Fi's been just a little spotty. So it might just be up and down a little bit. But so I use, so cable A, so I'm outputting the signal from here into cable A. So if you go back, so it's coming through here, just think of another cable on the other end of this going into Discord. So it's the sounds coming out of Discord through here. And right now I just have it routed to A1, which goes directly to my speakers. You can set it to push to talk or voice. I always do push to talk. That, and you can check your mic. So if you ever are not sure if it's working, do this mic check test and click on it, and the lights will go up and down if it's working for you. If you have other problems, you can always mess around with the echo cancellation. I don't do any of this. Yeah, I don't usually have to do much different with this. If you do have some problems, I've heard some people have success if you're having a lot of issues with Discord with changing from standard to legacy, if you have an older system. But again, try the basics first. Make sure if you've had a Windows update, you've checked your input settings, all of that first. Because I've chased some things around thinking I had a problem, and I really didn't. So, so that's that. Another thing to do on occasion that works for people is if you go to server settings, sometimes if your if everyone is having problems with sound, you can click and you can change your server region. So I think I'm using West. I could go to Central, or I could go to East or South. So that's sometimes I see people change that, but that's typically if everyone's having a problem, not just you. So that's another way to, another thing to check, at least. If somebody was in here in Discord, you can mute people, you can turn volumes down, you can do all kinds of things within Discord, but probably nothing else to show you there. Discord. Everybody likes Discord. I'm actually, believe it or not, TeamSpeak 3 is coming out. They have a beta that I signed up for. I know there's a ton of people, but they have TeamSpeak 5 is coming out. So I'm kind of anxious because I liked the quality of TeamSpeak. I just didn't like the interface, so I'm curious what it looks like. All right, on to Cleanfeed. Now, this is my favorite program when you're trying to stream sounds to players, but you're streaming and you want to keep those things separate, or if you just don't need to stream. Maybe you're not a streamer. Maybe you just are playing Fantasy Grounds or Roll20 or some other virtual tabletop, but you want to get that sound to other players. So Cleanfeed is completely free. I found this probably 2 years ago now. Created a YouTube video. It is really clear quality. Let me go into, let me log in. Give me a second. Go in. Let's see, is it going to, okay, good. It won't give me the password on stream. Probably not a good idea. I'm going to mute my mic because it might cause a, but the point is it's a really simple program. So hopefully you can see my mic. I'm muted, but if I want to connect, I can literally invite people directly from here and type in Stooner. And if I had his email address, which I do, but I'm not going to put it on stream. Well, yeah. But if you go to advanced, so let's say I did have an email address, or maybe I want to send by email, I'll share the link myself. And if I do an invite, so I'll get a link that's unique to him, copy that link. I can give that to him. And then basically all he has to do is click on that link and he'll pop in right here, which is really cool. If you click on this little gear icon and then you drop down here, you can basically, what's cool about this is you can send any of your Voicemeeter streams or channels out here. So if I decided to say, hey, I want to send out Voicemeeter input VAO, where is that? Here it is. So if I clicked on that, and just for a second, so if I go back here, right now I don't have any of these clicked because I'm just streaming. I'm not sending anything to players. But if I wanted to send anything to B1, which again is Voicemeeter VAO, anything I click on here, all of those would go directly to Cleanfeed. Players connect to it, they hear it. Yep. This is the one you need, the Windows sounds. Yes, it is, Sooner. This is the one. You don't need it, but it's really helpful. So it'll send anything that I select. Since I'm selecting B1, which is Voicemeeter output, it'll send it directly to Cleanfeed. Really, really slick. And all the people need is a Chrome browser, which it's a little challenging if they don't have a Chrome browser, but that's the only real issue. Stereo, if you have the Pro version, you can do more, but I found stereo is just fine. Getting the Pro, the reason I don't is it's, let's check it for a second. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I think the Pro version is like $29.99 a month or something. It's just, if you're a podcaster, yeah, I'm not going to go through that. It might be helpful, but I'm not, so it's not that helpful. But what Stooner just said in chat is the one thing with this is when the players then connect, let's just say the sounds are way too loud. It's like, oh my God, I'm getting this. This sucks. I don't, I can't deal with this. So I'm going to turn it off. That's the worst in my view, because I love audio. And it sucks when players turn it off because it's just too loud. So two things. One, what you can do is download a program called Volume Master. So I'm going to show you that down here. Here's Volume Master. If you click on this, and actually, if anybody that's in here wants to look at this spreadsheet, you can click on that and you can open the spreadsheet in Google Docs. You can download it. But so this is called Volume Master. Super cool program. I already have it added, but if you didn't, you can add it to Chrome. And what this does, now that I have it, I'll get out of it. But you see this little 3 blue wavy thing up here? I don't know what else to call it. If you left click on it, whatever tab that you're on in your browser that has volume, you can control the volume. You can slide it up to, hey, I need to hear it a lot more. Or if you need to put it to 50%, you can slide the volume and it'll change the volume for just that audio tab or just that Chrome tab that's playing audio. Very cool, very helpful, very, very, very useful program. I found this like a year ago and I actually created a YouTube video on it. And it's just to show you how to use this in Fantasy Grounds, and it's super cool. One other thing here, I don't think you can change this or your playback devices, but frankly, some of these settings, the music optimized, that's all I would care about. I really wouldn't care about putting my music or changing this from music optimized, so this is fine. Playback device, since I'm already using Voicemeeter, I can send whatever I want into this, so it's really not that necessary. But the owners of Cleanfeed, the people that produced it, are super cool. He answered all my questions years ago when I found it and said, hey, what about this application? And he's like, wow, I never intended it to be used that way. That's awesome. So he thought it was really neat. All right. Check that one off my list. Volume Master. Audio router we talked about. And I'll undo these after the show in case anybody looks at this later. Cleanfeed. All right. Cool. Getting through them. Sample Librarian. Okay, now we're starting to get into things that are not like specifically necessary. Not that any of this is necessary, but a lot of the things I've shown you so far are what you're used to. Voicemeeter, OBS, Syrinscape, even Cleanfeed, a lot of you have seen before. Sample Librarian is a really neat, it's $35, so it's an indulgence. Again, a lot of you that are watching the show, particularly on YouTube as a replay, are probably finding it because you're looking for cool audio things. So yes, some of these are going to come at a cost, some of them are free. But Sample Librarian, you can find it on this site, but it organizes your sound files, okay? And it's, for me, it is super helpful. So it's $30. I'm sorry, I don't recognize that currency, but I'm pretty sure it was $35 US, if I remember correctly. So let me show you what this does. So I've got a link down here. Once you download it, I have this little link, so I'm going to open it. So here is what it looks like. So I've got, I think 6 or maybe it's up to 10 gigabytes of sound files. I've got one that I'll show you later. Let me see if I can put it up to the screen and see if you can even see this little USB from Ambient Realms. This is like a 6 gigabyte USB file or drive, excuse me. But all of what it does is it pulls in all of your sound files throughout your whole computer. And you can tag them too. I haven't done as much of that as I want. But in addition to having them all organized, and this was already organized this way, so this is just my file structure. But you can, whatever tags you create, you can tag any of these files. Oh, you just heard that. But you can tag any of these files, so you can create, I just want to hear rain or thunder or different monsters. So I've got my files organized pretty well, but what's cool, and these are all the Ambient Realm files and plate mail games, which I'll show you later. But what's neat is I can literally, since I have this connected to its own output in Voicemeeter, is all I have to do is preview one of these. So actually, let's do some kind of ambience do I have? Do I see any? I love Sword Coast soundscapes. That's hell. Tabletop audio. Let's do Before the Storm. So I just click on it. And it's soft. Probably picked the wrong one. How about, I can hear black. I love the blacksmith one. Let's do that. You can kind of hear. So my point is, it's really easy to quickly find what you need. And as you connect this with Ableton Live, it's really, really easy to put it into a soundboard for playing your sounds. So again, because I have all my things organized, you know, I can directly go to, hey, I need beasts, I need aberrations. Let's go to a spectral laugh and deep speech. So it immediately plays it. It's really cool, and I can just pause it, stop all. So, I mean, again, an indulgence, but for me, I find myself using this a lot to prepare for sessions because I can drag and drop these into a soundboard for Ableton Live Lite. And I've done that for most of the sessions that Lazy Stooner, who's in the chat, has been in. Stooner, that's how I prep. I kind of find these, I'll drag them into a soundboard, and then I'll trigger them when I DM my games. So really, really cool. All right. So that. Actually, that's good because Ableton Live Lite's right underneath that. So Ableton Live Lite. Now this, I'm not going to lie, this is, if you buy Ableton Live itself, it's super expensive. I think it's like $300, $400, $500. And when I say it's super expensive, I'm not saying it's not worth it. But for what I do, DMing games and playing role-playing games, I don't need something like that. I've never had any kind of sound programs in my life until I started DMing on Fantasy Grounds. But if you buy certain hardware or certain software programs, Ableton Live Lite comes for free with many of them. So when I bought that sound file I showed you from Ambient Realms, I bought a package and I got this MIDI controller that was cool, and it came with Ableton Live Lite. So I just got it, and that instrument I bought was about a $90 instrument. So there might be some much cheaper things you can buy to get Ableton Live Lite, but if you can get it, it's a super powerful program. So let me open Ableton Live Lite and show you what that looks like. Hopefully my computer can handle it today because I'm starting to open a lot of programs. It's going to take a minute to open that. But this functionality is really cool. And this is one reason. There are actually, Ableton Live is called a DAW, Digital Audio Workstation. There's a lot of them out there, and there's some that are free. And I've tried some that are pretty close. But the fact that I was able to get this myself packaged with something is why I keep using it today. You go to Options, Preferences. This is where you can kind of control, and you can see, as I mentioned before, I have, this one is MME Direct. I don't use the ASIO, but I have the inserts selected. So I'm connecting directly into Voicemeeter. Sample rate 44,100. So I'm not going to go through all of this too much because this gets into a level of complexity we don't need. But I am going to open a live set. So this is something that I created myself, or not created, but I put together myself for the Teeth of the Storm. This was a Pathfinder 2 module I ran. Really cool. I converted it into, I think that one I had to convert into Fantasy Grounds. I think the PDF was available and I converted it. So I've got all of these set up as triggers that I can play during the game session. So let's see, pull this down here a little bit. So let's do, and it'll probably Rain and Thunder loop. So now you see, actually you're not hearing that, are you? Give me 1 second. I'm going to try something quickly because it looks like it's showing up in You can see it showing up in Voicemeeter, but I don't think you're hearing it. Student, I assume you're not hearing the rain, right? So I might change this for a second. Voicemeeter. Yeah, that should. Huh. Always something. Why would that not be playing? Let me look at something one more time. See if I have it set up right. There's my aux, left, right. Should be working. I'm going to restart for a second. Yeah, darn it. For some reason, that's too bad because I want to show you guys. Because I hear it in my headset, but it does not look like you guys are hearing it. Aux output, Voicemeeter aux input. Let's try something here, shall we? I'm going to try hello? Yeah, that looks like it's crackling. Well, that's too bad, man. I wanted to show you guys this. Voicemeeter output. How about that? Voicemeeter input. Voicemeeter. Now you probably hear it. Huh. I'll have to figure out why that wasn't working, but you guys should hear it now, right? And if I click in here, it should stop it. Okay, so all of these white grunts, so I can click all of these individually. And what's really neat is I can kind of have the rain and thunder going. And while I do that, the grunts going, maybe the white's eating some flesh. So I can kind of have all that going. Maybe he stops grunting, but it's still raining. So I really enjoy doing this. But let me pause this for a second. What I think is really cool is if I open and include sample librarian next to this. So if you look at, this is a little hard to show over here, but because it has this little section here. But if you look at this one shots over here, you see how there's some empty slots? What's cool is I can look up something here. So let's just say I want something on a cultist. A human cultist. I want an evil cultist sound. Let's just say that.
Rise, minion, in strength and power, and destroy our enemies.
Okay, let's say I liked that for whatever reason, even though I don't. So I'm going to left click, hold, and drag it over here to an empty spot and drop it. That's what makes my preparation a lot easier. So now I've got it right in here and it's all set. And I have all these things I can play, all these spells I had set up, Cure Light Wounds. So one of the things I also want to show you now, because this is a really good, I like Ableton Live. It's pretty slick. So if I go and, actually I'm not done with this, but I want to show you this MIDI controller, because this $6.99, but hopefully I can get this to work to show you today. So this allows me to use my iPad to trigger sounds. So now I can use my iPad to trigger sounds directly from my iPad based on this Ableton Live setup. Okay, so if you download, and there's a number of steps to it. There's trailers, there's video trailers to explain it. I don't want to go into that whole setup, but I want you to see, and I'm going to try to connect it now. See if I can get this working. Second, I'm going to get out of the sample librarian. Okay, So this is it's a free program called UBridge, and I'm going to open on my tablet the LK. Hopefully it's going to work for me. Ah, come on. Every once in a while I have a little bit of trouble with this, and I should be able to well, I can't. That was working for me earlier today, so it's waiting for you, Bridge. What is the? By 1 second. Actual. Shoot. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break. It's been a little over an hour, so I'm just going to take a really quick break, see if I can figure this out. And if I can't, we'll move on and I'll just explain it. But if we can, it'll be super cool. So give me a minute and I will be right back. I am going to prepare a little, be right back and give myself, I'm going to take a 10-minute break. How's that? 10-minute break, and I will be right back. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Okay, and we're back. So, what I started to go through was a program called LK. So again, this one it's from a website, Imaginando website. What I'm going to focus on is this Ableton Live and MIDI controller. So this only works with Ableton Live, unfortunately. But if you do get Ableton Live, and oh darn it, I went through the same thing. To help. What I wanted to show you, yeah, here we go. So the documentation, if you go to setup, so if you do look at this, it gives you an in-depth setup process. You do need a program called UBridge, that's free. You need to set up another program called Loop MIDI, which is also free. So it looks a little complicated. It doesn't take that long. But once you get it all set up, the really cool thing for me is, so look at this. This is what my Ableton Live looks like. Okay. So if you look at that and then look at, this isn't going to be great because I have to put it up to my computer, but this is my iPad and that's all the same settings. Okay. So what's really cool about this is, so I have my iPad just sitting on my counter, on my table here. I don't have it connected to my computer. It's wireless. So I'm going to move my cursor up here so you can see it. So you know my cursor's up here. So I'm going to play some thunder. Okay, and that's being triggered directly off my iPad. You can see, now you can see it over here. And then if I click and turn it off, and then if I want to play a rain and thunder, so it's really, really cool. So I'm playing all those sounds and I don't have to touch. I can leave Ableton in the background. But this is what I do. So when I do a session and I run a one shot, what I'll do is I'll set up Ableton Live with all of these settings, put in all the sounds. I'll kind of have, what room I want them to be in sometimes, or maybe the story number, and I'll put all of the sounds I want to trigger in a certain room or a certain section. And then if I have spells I want to be able to do, sometimes I like to have some variety from the spells. I love Syrinscape, but I have so many sounds on my computer. Sometimes I like to do a different Cure Light Wounds. So here I'll do that from my iPad. So just a little variety, something different, and then stop it so it doesn't keep triggering. So I really like that program. And again, I realize that Ableton Live Lite is definitely an indulgence. Expensive if you can't just get the program through a purchase like I did. But if you can get it, it's really cool. And there's other DAWs out there. If anybody is interested and wants some other digital audio workstation examples, just PM me or something. But I really, really like that combination of being able to use my iPad. So that was this Imaginando, and if you can get it on the iOS out of the the Apple Store. Let me clear that out. Okay, this one, I know you guys are going to be like, wait a second, don't you use Fantasy Grounds? This one is called Arkenforge. And again, it's $35. And I'm not necessarily recommending it, but it is really cool. Now, so this is their website. So it's tabletop software, map building, audio, and campaign management. Celestian found this too, and he and I were kind of messing around with it. What really got our attention here is Soundscape for audio management. We're like, I like sounds, I like audio, let's check it out. So it is a virtual tabletop. I have not dug into it for that. And there's some mapping assets. There's all kinds of stuff you can do, but let me show you why I found it interesting. And I'm going to launch the app. It's going to take a minute or two, but again, it's $35. And it's kind of a strange interface when you come here. I'm not going to go through all the ins and outs. I did buy a sound pack called Essentials. I don't remember what that cost me. We can look at it later, but I'm not going to update this because I don't want to wait for that. But I'm launching the Master's Toolkit. And give it a second. Okay, so I'm going to go straight into Soundscapes. This is what I find really cool. So you've got pack presets, custom presets, but let's just go into, so this is the Essentials. This is the program that I bought and the sound pack, but let's just go to Dungeon and Tombs. So you've got a music section, an ambiance section, and a sound effects. So you can see it started playing right away, and it's just playing from the music module. If I wanted, and I can slide the sound up and down here, and if I wanted, I can say, hey, I want this ambiance to all play in tune with the overall background music here. So I'm going to say play all. I think. Yeah, there we go. And I think I can trigger. Yeah, mouse. So you can hear, this isn't very loud, but these are all playing. This one every 18 seconds. And you can turn them up and down. You can turn them off. I think. And then you can do, if I want to say, hey, a huge or undead growl. So it's got 3 separate sections. What's most intriguing to me, I'm going to pause this for a second. I have to pause this because it's still playing this. It paused the dungeon ambiance, but now I have to click that to play it again. Okay, but what's really cool, you see this button here, add ambience from library. So I loaded, and I created little thumbnails for all these. I loaded all of these sounds that I have. So Ambient Realms, Divine Spells, Tabletop Audio, and actually some of these may be indifferent. They might be more music. But my point is, so add ambience from the library. Since I added all of these that I have in my own that I've purchased, let's just say I want campfire. I'm going to add campfire. So now the campfire's here, and I can trigger that, and I can do it. This is left or right. If I want to put it all the way to the left, it should just be in your left. If you have a headset on, if I want it in your right, I can put it in your right speaker only. So I could mess around with other things like a torch. Maybe I want the torch in your left. So that, the fact that you can add all of your own sounds in here and then trigger, again, stone door, add sound effects from your library, all of these different, like I can add a armor protection. Let's add that over there. So there you go. I mean, so this to me is really, it's really a neat, it's got a lot of possibilities. A lot of possibilities. You can mix different things. They've got hell landscapes. I mean, the fact, and it just starts playing right away, but I know they're still working on this, but I got to tell you guys, this to me has a lot of possibility. I know it was $35, so again, I know I spend too much money, but this is my one vice, I guess. Shoot, Twitch is dropping again. I might get rid of this because this might be too much memory right now. Let me exit to desktop. That might have, I'm going to give it a second to see if stream comes back. Yeah, I think that might have taken up too much memory for me. But again, that I'm going to get rid of the U-Bridge. I shouldn't need that anymore. I'm trying to close as many programs as I can. So, okay. All right. So that Arkenforge, I know, seems odd, but really, really cool, I think. A lot of possibilities. AmbientDM, not quite as excited about this one, but this is another sound trigger program that I found and I bought just because I had to, because I have a problem. $19. You can buy it on Steam. It still has a ways to go, I feel like. I don't know that, again, I would recommend it. But you can go to Steam, find it, and I will pull it up and show you. Because I own all these. At least I think I do. Oh, I probably have to open it through Steam because I'm an idiot. Should be in there. Oh, no. That's not so good. Well, it looks like it's going to update quickly, so maybe I'll let it. Sorry, guys. Didn't realize it was going to update, but would like to show it to you really quick. Let's see what else we have. Ambient Realms. Yeah, then we're going to get into more of the sounds. And then I'll probably end with the VoiceMod unless people have questions and want to stick around, which is fine. Come on. Is it going to pull up AmbientDM? Hopefully it will. Hope everyone's night's going well, and those that are watching during the day, good morning, good afternoon. And if anybody ever wants to hit me up on Discord, you can usually find me. I answer pretty quickly. I think I have my Discord. I just pop one in the chat for anybody that's there, but feel free to pop on over, ask sound questions. I try to help people out a lot. And here we go. So this just kind of shows the screen resolution. No, I don't want to do that, but let's play. So let's let it load up and let's start. So it's really busy, but it's got a lot of different sounds and voices and music already. And you can drag and drop, like I think this cursed crypt. I think I can drag and drop here, I think, if I want. Oh, never mind. One more time. Yeah, so I mean, and then I think you can click and play. Maybe. It's funny, this one I haven't played as much. There we go. Let me just play them from here to show you the... So... I'm going to drop some of these, though, because you should be able to. So another soundboard kind of program. So it's all right. I don't know if it's for $20. You do get, I think, all of these content programs on them. See if I can pause it. Yep. Yeah, the one thing they still feel like they need a lot of work on is I drag it there and what's that drop down? Oh, I think that's an image. Yeah, it's acting pretty slow for me. Anyway, this one probably not as much to say about, but it's one more program that, it's got some decent sounds. Like here's see what the lullaby is. Put you all to sleep. So check it out. I mean, sometimes it's on sale. I think I think you could upload some sounds. So check it out. And it's called AmbientDM, $20. So again, not sure I would completely recommend it, but another one to check out if you're looking for some programs that could add to your repertoire. All right, I'm going to get out of there. All right, AmbientDM, $19.99. Ambient Realms. Okay, so now we're just getting into really more of where I get my sounds. So let's open this one up. Gwydion's hosting Gwydion. That's cool. That's kind of funny. All right. It's funny. I told this guy when I found him like 3.5 years ago, as soon as you'd open this website, it was so loud. It would just play this massive music and it was just crazy. But the thing you can do is you can play a lot of sounds directly from here, which I think is really cool. So like you have all these free live gameplay links. So let me click on this. I might have to log in. Okay, let's see if I can log in for live gameplay. So I know it doesn't look the best, but I mean, some of the things I think are cool is he's got audio for all or many of the D&D box games. So like Wrath of Bashardalong, I've played this with my kids before. It's literally, if you click on it and you play gameplay live, it's got character audio effects. It's got encounter cards, the adventures, monsters. So if you click on monsters, and you can have separate tabs, but basically you can literally click on all these attacks, like the Gibbering Mouther, and it shows all of the cards and things. But if I want to click on the attack, I think. Is it playing? Let's give it a second. There we go. So I think it was just trying to load, but I mean, all of these, I mean, pretty damn cool. So let's see the Orc Smasher attack. So you'd have to set this up a little bit, but I mean, it's got all of those different games, so all the board games. And then if I go back, it even has some that are pretty cool. I'll get rid of this. So it has a bunch of the games: Castle Ravenloft, Chardalon, Drizzt, and Temple of Elemental Evil. And I think, let's see, it also has some D&D stuff. Not a lot, but it has like some conditions, some ambiance. So, and you can do multiple browsers to control these, but like if I want to do sound setting, so I can have these in different browser tabs. And if I want to play like some Arctic Wind, I can click on that over here. Let's see, it might take a second. I think it's still loading. My computer's struggling because I'm throwing all these programs at it tonight. It'll do it. Maybe. Oh, there you go. So you got some Arctic Wind. Let's do it. And so you can have all these playing independently, maybe, if it... Pause this. You should be able to... have to look, but I'm pretty sure... Oh, maybe that's loading. There we go. Yeah, so it's taken a little bit, probably just because I'm taxing my computer, but so I can have the Arctic Wind going, the Cauldron, but it's just all these different, and I've got the boiling. So it's pretty neat. Pretty cool that you can do all this for free directly out of here. And what I did with this guy, and I gave this away at my charity stream, and actually if you want, I actually have some of these still programmed in from my charity event that I did last year. Let's see, let's get out of this, What I ended up doing is I bought his whole sound collection on a USB. Yeah, it's live. What's up, Drake Takes? I've gone through a lot already, but I can go back through some things if people still want to listen and have some other questions. But I'm going through Ambient Realms because I really like Ambient Realms. I purchased a bunch of his programs and his sound programs. I'm trying to look for the... I think this is the one I did. I did the Massive Library, which was, I think when I bought it, it was $99. God, was it 88 gigs? It might have been that much. So much. And I actually bought the, back when they had, they don't have them anymore, but they had a small MIDI controller, and I bought it. In fact, if I have a minute, I might even show it to you guys. Actually, you know what? Why not? I'm live. I can take a quick break. Hold on. One sec. Oh well, it's downstairs, but it's like this. It just has fewer buttons and knobs, but it's all branded like this. It's pretty cool. But I paid I think $129 or maybe $99, and I got all of his sounds, which are really really good. So there you go. That's Ambient Realms. So yeah, so far Drake takes. I talked a little bit about some specifics around Voicemeeter, Banana, OBS, Syrinscape, Resanance, which is a free soundboard. Discord, Cleanfeed, Sample Librarian, and I will upload this to YouTube. So for those that are watching on YouTube, shout out to you. You're on your PS4. Oh, nice. So yeah, I went through a lot of programs. So let's get rid of Ambient Realms. We've gone through that. And Plate Mail Games. You can buy his stuff directly from his website, and his name is Wes. Why am I drawing a blank on his last name? Wes Otis. He's a good guy. Really good sounds. So if you go to Plate Mail Games, you can find a lot of his tracks. If you go to Drive Through RPG, yeah, that's weird. Go back to the beginning. Yeah, here we go. So he has all kinds of audio, and he also has a deal with BattleBards that I'll show you guys. A lot of stuff on Drive Through Audio or Drive Through RPG. Horror audio, I've gotten a lot of his tracks. He's got a lot of bundles that you can buy, and he's even got some free samples that you can try to test them out. But he's got a lot of different bundles. Let me go to let me open my sample librarian again for a second. I think I should be able to go to, yeah. So these are all Plate Mail Games sounds. So let's just go to Temple of Horror. Oh, I forgot. Typing's a bit slow. I think it was Diablo Bob that said he hurt his right hand, so I hope he's improving. So this is a Temple of Horror. So these are all 10-minute loops. So you can see over here, out of Sample Librarian, that's 10 minutes. Sample Librarian, if you guys weren't here earlier, is just a program that organizes all your samples, but it's really cool in conjunction with Ableton Live Lite. So how about the Wizard or Thunderstorm at Horror House? I like that one. To me, I like having all these because it just adds to the variety that I can offer. I love Syrinscape, but it's nice to be able to offer some of these other programs and sounds that aren't the same. So he does a good job with his 10-minute clips. Underwater World, what's that? Yeah, so it's spiders. Let's listen to that for a second. But I really like his stuff. I want to hear a spider cave. I already like it. Sample Librarian is neat because literally you can search, find something, and then just click on it, preview, and I'm sending it out to the stream. So it's really cool. Ooh, I like that. I like the background, the deep. Yeah, that's oh, rat lair. There you go. Anybody who's played Rob's Unknown Whom, ticka 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 ticka. That was his way of telling us there were rats. This would have been cool to play for that, for Unknown Whom. All right, I'm going to stop it. Okay. So Plate Mail Games, I definitely recommend. I really like his stuff. Really, really good, high quality. All right, BattleBards. So I will tell you, BattleBards, I'd looked at years and years ago. They had a Kickstarter. They had all this stuff going on. But back when I looked at them, they were, in my opinion, not friendly to streamers. It was very challenging to stream anything. Now, if you played like online with friends, but you weren't streaming, it was pretty good because they have a ton. And you can see here, they have kind of two sections. They have albums and tracks that are from various artists. And then they also have Plate Mail Games. They have a deal with Plate Mail Games. You can buy tracks, and so I can go and search on their website, and literally you can buy entire, like if I wanted to look at this ancient chamber, I could click on it, and here are all the tracks you get, and I could buy it all at 20% off. The reason it's 20% off is because now I am a BattleBard Prime subscriber. So that gives me 20% off. So if I want to buy them and download them, I can. But the other thing that's cool now is they have these little icons that say, see if it'll let me, podcast license. So I entered into an agreement with them. Yes, my name is Gwydion, is also known as Alan Dodge. Don't tell anybody. But I have, and I was trying to look to see if I could find it here, my account, maybe. Yeah. But anyway, this is what I was looking for. So I entered into, and I had to reach out to them. I had to email them, tell them who I was, what I wanted to do, yada, yada. And then they sent me an email, and I signed a podcast license. But the cool thing is now I get to give out discounts. Now, I'm not giving out discounts today because ironically, they sent me an email today that said, by the way, we're offering this promotion. So it's somewhat like Syrinscape. Like if you click on Prime Subscribe Now, I think how this works. Oh, geez, why did it go back? Because I'm already a subscriber. But it should, I think it's like $3.99 or $4.99 a month to access to all of their tracks. And you get things like soundboards. Let me show you that. So like you can create your own soundboards. I'm not a huge fan of these, but it's kind of cool. I mean, you can do all these different things with them, add to playlists. You can cut out sections of them. You can play part of them. I did this literally like 3 years ago. I bought some of these. And you can upload your own tracks. There's a mixer. But let me get to, because I don't want to violate the terms of my contract. Go to home. And, no, it's Plate Mail Games. I want to find some tracks that have the podcast license icon. Okay. So how about Magic Missile? So this is Chris Lewis. I'm supposed to give shout out to everyone. So this is Chris Lewis. And this is available to podcast license. Let's play that. Wow, that was an interesting one. Huh. Alchemist Lab. This is Olivier Girardot. So this is a long sound effects. Let's see what this does. So it's pretty good, pretty quality sounds. And I ended up buying this. They had like this lifetime sale at like $3.99 a month for life, meaning I can cancel it any time, but as long as I don't cancel, it's $3.99. And the cool thing about that is, that was funny. The cool thing about it is, I think it's normally $9.95 or $12.95, but they also have an ability to cast, which I won't do, but you can create your own cast, kind of like Syrinscape's online player, and you can cast it directly to your players. But again, because I would just do this within Voicemeeter, I wouldn't have a need for that. Let's look at some other, but their sounds are pretty cool. And then Plate Mail Games, they have a lot of tracks from Wes Otis too, but you have to either buy those or buy a subscription separately. But so I have access to all of these. Let's see, creatures, forming sound effects. Let's see if any of these. Okay, cool. How about large insects? Ilicevici Sirban. Shout out to Ilicevici. That's pretty disturbing. That's kind of interesting. Alrighty then. So, I mean, another option, and again, I have credits, so like I could buy things directly. And once you buy credits, it like unlocks things. So I think total I've spent about $50. So I've unlocked a lot of storage, the cast program, the mixer, the soundboard, all those kind of things. So Pretty cool. I like BattleBards. I mean, I think it was maybe it is $9.95 a month, but I got it for $3.95, so I definitely feel like I have a value, and I'll keep it. I don't know that I'll change that anytime soon. And you can also do a desktop player to download things and put them on your own desktop. Oh, is it me, you think, Stooner, or is it Twitch? I'm going to keep going since I think it's recording okay. But let me know sorry guys, if it's jacked. But I'm almost done. Probably I'll kind of go through a few other things here and we'll be good. Tabletop audio. A lot of you have seen this free, which is really cool. So you can play them directly from here. See a moving ice. See it's playing. That's really, really high quality too for free. Oh, that's interesting. Sorry folks. But we'll keep going. Dropping the final E from Gwydion's name and wow, that's weird. The other thing that's nice about Tabletop Audio is they have sound pads. So again, because I stream and I just use Voicemeeter, but if you don't, you can literally start a broadcast. So these are all the sounds you could play. Like you could play little rat sounds. Ticka, ticka, ticka. But if you start a broadcast, then you can click this link and send it to your players and they would just hear it directly. No need for Voicemeeter, no need for anything else. You got nothing there? Ah, man. Well, that's disappointing. Maybe I'll try to wrap it up quicker then and throw it out on YouTube. Darn it. Sword Coast, so a couple of free YouTube programs. I love Sword Coast sounds. I don't know if I should be playing. You know what? I don't know if I should probably not stream YouTube, so maybe I won't show that. But Sword Coast Sounds and the Guild of Ambiance on YouTube would highly recommend. Really, really good sounds, free. Sword Coast Sounds, I think you can also get on Bandcamp and buy them. I think that's where I got them. So, good stuff. All right, last but not least, VoiceMod. Pretty cool program. I've tried a lot of voice changers, guys. And in fact, you'll see before I go through here, I bought a program called, where is it? I think I already blocked it out. VoxPat 2. It was $175 on sale for $87.50. You can do all kinds of things with it, but I'm still struggling to figure out how to stream it well. I've been able to get it to work and record things and create all kinds of sounds, which is really cool, but that one we'll save for another show. All right, VoiceMod, is a real-time voice changer. So there is a free version out there. I paid $19.99 for the full version. I've tried all kinds of things. I've tried Morphox Pro. I've tried, I think, NCH. I've tried a bunch of them. But let me show you what this one does. And hopefully it'll work pretty well. Double click on VoiceMod.
And I've got to turn it on 1 second. Okay. So, let's try this. I don't know if you guys can hear that twice, but 1 second. Okay, it's coming through my Blue Yeti mic. I think you guys are hearing my voice. Voicemeeter input is where it would output to. I think that's okay. But let me, for a second, mute desktop. Okay. Okay, I want to be able to hear it. So I'm going to go to hear all the voices. Let's see. I think it's NF.
Does that? Yeah, there we go. I think I did NF to be a quick, hey, this shouldn't work. But here are all the voices. So let's try the alien voice, see what you think.
This is my alien voice. Doesn't sound too bad. Yes, voice is modded. Super sexy. Let's see. Chipmunk? Chipmunk? Chipmunk voice. Yes. Woo! How about dark?
Dark. Eh, not too bad. Pretty dark. Frankie? Frankie. It's not bad. Not bad.
Spirit. Still sounds like my voice, but a little more spirity. I'm gonna do the zombie.
Zombie. My brains. And you can change the mix to make it more or less intelligible. Change the pitch up or down. How about this? What does that do? So it's kind of change the mixes a little bit. Interesting. Storyteller happy. Oh, I like that. There once was a time when people went to watch Quidian play sounds. Yes, well, hold on 1 second.
I got caught up. This will push out to Cleanfeed. Let me think about that. I mean, I don't want to hear my voice. There we go. The way this is working, so if the input, it's going through my mic. So if I put this through Voicemeeter using my mic, yeah, I think it should work, Drake Takes. I don't see why it wouldn't. I might have to test it later. But obviously you guys are hearing it. But I think right now I don't even have my mic going through here. I have it going directly to you guys. But I think if I put it through here, it's changing it before it gets in here. And then if I want to put this out to Cleanfeed or to Discord, should work just fine. It'd be an interesting test. Let me look at something. But yeah, I mean, you can create all your own voices. So for $20, it's not bad, Santa. So, I mean, there's a lot of different options, but the cool thing is you can create your own voice. So that's kind of cool. And you have all these different, reverses, flangers. Let's see. All right, let me hear this again. So you can change
All these and change the pitch. Maybe change.
Way deeper.
keep it nice and warm, but make it echoey. Of course, down. So, pretty cool, actually. So you can see it, so you can stereo through. I guess you can create a little one. Change the frequency in class. I'll play around with this. So we can shut this down. Now I'll shut it down. And now I can transfer the side. Should click over, but there we go. So I'm going to get rid of VoiceMod because I had that separately. VoiceMod mic. So what I was going to look at, I think, Discord. Yeah, I might have to try it later, but if I open Discord, what I wanted to look at is usually I connect just my normal voice, but So I think, what I'd have to play around with later is if I need to change this to the microphone voice mod voice setting, because this is Yeti, but I think because I'm sending it through my Yeti, I think it should work. So maybe I'll try it later on if I'm up to it tonight, or maybe I'll try it tomorrow. But I think it should push to Cleanfeed. So pretty cool. So that's VoiceMod. That's like I said, the basic is free, so you could certainly download it, try it, give it a shot with a couple of the voices, and if you like it, you can pay for it. But that's probably the only VoiceMod software I would recommend. I mean, the one I got here at $87.50, I've been waiting for it to go on sale. I'm excited. I'll show it to you, but I can't pump it through right now. Find it. So I'll show it to you. I really like it. I think it's going to be super cool, but it's a very high intensity. In fact, I'll probably have to shut it down right after I open it, because I have a feeling I'll be doing more taping voices and like doing dialogue and then using it later. So the cool thing is, like, you have all these files you can play. So I can play all these. These are already in here. So I can play them. I can pull up the dry signal, pull up my microphone, but right now I'm having a problem just streaming it, but I can get it to work without the stream. So I just need more time to play with it. But I can mix my mic with the player. So anything I load in here, I can load in any kind of background file. And then these are all unique effects like fear and beast, make your voice higher, lower, deeper. You can also add in plugins to play. So like I have, if it'll, let's see, where is it? I wasn't planning on going into this because I knew I couldn't use it. Is it this one? Plugs. What I'm looking for is there's a plugin. Maybe I'm looking to go up here. There we go. So there's actually literally a section. These are all different players and morphs, but you can add plugins here. So I've added all kinds of like plugins, so I can load these plugins. Oops. At least I should be able to. I think. Yeah, I've got to mess around with this later. Pretty sure then I can. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play around with this, but I know it allows you to connect plugins, VST files, and do all kinds of cool stuff, morphing your voice. And anyway, it's expensive. That looks above my pay grade. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And of course, since I didn't plan on doing this on stream, now I'm not really finding. Why isn't it? I think it's bugging me. There we go. That's what I was missing. So literally, you can do all kinds of pitch correction changes and just mess around with these left and right and gains. And anyway, it's it's pretty cool. But like I said, 95% of the people probably won't want to do that. So I'm going to unhide these, or at least uncheck them. But I think we covered everything. Voicemeeter, Syrinscape, Resanance, free soundboard. If you guys missed that, maybe watch the YouTube replay. It's free, so that's always cool. Ableton Live Lite, I talked about that quite a bit. I love that. Audio router and SoundSwitch. Just makes it a little bit easier to switch for Syrinscape if you want. The Ableton Live LK product connected with Ableton Live Lite allows you to use your iPad to trigger sounds wirelessly. So really cool. Yeah, what else? Arkenforge. It's a VTT. It's a tabletop software, but the sound module is almost worth it in and of itself, even though it is $35. AmbientDM. I bought it. I can't really recommend it right now, but it is a pretty relatively robust soundboard with a lot of sounds, but too many other options out there. BattleBards, I'm warming up to. And again, they're not as friendly to podcasters as I feel Syrinscape is, but they're getting better. And I'm excited about using them, and they were great with me. Brought me along to sign the podcasting license, and VoiceMod. Definitely would recommend VoiceMod. So, guys, that's it. I guess 2-hour show. It's about what I expected. Didn't think I'd have a whole lot of folks in, but hopefully some folks will watch this on YouTube and enjoy it and get some value out of it. So, anybody have any other questions before I take my leave and relax for the evening? Anything else I can answer for Voicemeeter or Syrinscape or anything of that nature? Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry I didn't catch you earlier, Drake Takes, but thanks for popping by, and I will definitely upload it, and you guys will probably get the notification. So, all right, well, everybody have a wonderful evening, and hope to see you guys out on the forums sometime soon. Have a good night, all.